So to recap last week, we only had 3 games with ULM. We were able to win all 3 games, 1-0 in 14 innings. Middle game, a little bit looser game, I think 5-1, and then the final, again another really tight 1-0 win on Game 3. Our pitching staff was outstanding. Summer Ellyson went 14 innings in Game 1 to get the win, and Game 2, Casey Dixon was really outstanding, and we used Carrie Boswell as well in that game, and she pitched very well. And then in Game 3, we started senior on senior day. Kylie Joe held them scoreless for 2 innings, and we brought Summer in with a 1-0 lead in the 3rd, and she held on to close it out with a 1-0 win in Game 3.
Coach, you talked about fatigue after the last game. I'm sure exams had something to do with it, a long season. How important are these next 3 games in terms of that and just having the right mindset going into this?
Yeah, I think that just to get a day off yesterday was huge for the girls at the finals. I felt like they were really tired this weekend, and I felt like maybe it was myself, but I felt stress. I thought there was a lot of stress in our dugout this weekend. So I think a day off. We took this morning off. We're going to practice this evening, so the girls are going to have about 36 hours just to get off their feet and rest mentally. And then I think it's really critical this week that we get back into a good compete mode and get our minds right going into the postseason, obviously. And it'd be really nice to come back and play well again this weekend on our field and get the 3 wins we'll need to win the tournament.
Is there anything mindset-wise or strategy-wise that has to change when you know that you're going to be playing X amount of games and X amount of days, or do you just stay the course?
Yeah. No, I think right now we just, we concentrate on the things we concentrate on all season, keep our team mentally as strong as we can, prepare as well as we can here the next few days, and then of course the key is going to be our pitching defense and score enough runs to win. And that's kind of how we won this year. When we won, it's not been in overwhelming fashion by any means ever. Just we hold teams to a low enough run total and I try to outscore them. And so it's been our method of winning, and we'll try to keep doing that.
In terms of just playing at home, how do you keep the girls from being maybe complacent because it's like, all right, we're expected to win because it's at home, but obviously you want to take advantage of the home field advantage. So what's the balance between those two? You want them to be confident being at home, but at the same time you don't want them to say, all right, we got this in the bag because everybody's coming.
Yeah. Well, I think our team, one thing we've learned about ourselves is we don't have anything in the bag ever. It's where we're capable of being beat on any day, and we're capable of beating anybody on any day, especially on our field. We feel confident against whoever it is, but at the same time we respect our opponents enough that we're aware that if we don't play our very best ball, it might not be enough on any given day.
How do you go into a week? It's really unknown. You don't know who you're going to play for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know within I believe we were going to play the winner of Georgia State and South Howell. So we've solved both those teams now. 6 games in a regular season. We know a little bit about them. But I still feel like it's mainly a matter of us competing against ourselves to play our very best. And if we do the things that we do well and perform at our highest level, we should be able to come out of there with a win. Then, I expect that at some point in this tournament we're going to see Texas State with Rupp if we do play well. And that's going to be a really good game if we get to that point.
In terms of Summer, how do you balance her pitch load? Obviously, you're going to use her a lot because she's your number 1 pitcher. But how do you look at her and say, all right, maybe we should take her out here, bring her back in here? What's the decision process like for her?
I try to listen to the pitching coaches, and I try to listen to her, to Summer. I had it in my head on Sunday morning when I come to the ballpark. I had it in my head that we would not use her, or Saturday morning, I'm sorry. On the final day on Saturday morning, I had it in my head we were going to go those 2 games without using her, simply because she threw, a lot of pitches on Friday night. Again, it's been a long season. Postseason's right around the corner, and I wanted to save those pitches for the Sun Belt tournament. But when I got to the park, both Summer and the pitching coaches, Summer wanted the ball, as always, a great competitor, and the pitching coaches were, they felt like she threw less pitches in that 14-inning game than she's thrown actually in some 7- and 8-inning games this year. So they felt confident that she had it in her to go another 75 to 100 pitches if we needed her. And then when we got to game 2 and, looking down, you're one game from the end of the season and your RPI is at stake to hold on to that top 25 RPI. Pitching coaches wanted to put her in. She's wanted to go in, and okay, let's do it. So we decided at that point to put her in simply because we knew that the RPI is so important as we go into the postseason here, and the selection show will be made on that on Sunday. So it's a fine line, and it's nothing easy about that decision. She seems to be a very resilient pitcher that is able to throw a lot of innings and a lot of pitches and doesn't seem to hardly ever have any soreness or anything. So her health is critical, and we'll play it on a day-by-day basis with her.
And what would it mean in your first season to win? And obviously, you have more goals down the line, but what would it mean in your first season to capture a Sun Belt conference?
Well, I think it would be huge for our girls, and it'd speak volumes about them. I feel like they've already spoke volumes about themselves. They're great competitors. They're extremely hard-nosed kids. They're used to winning. They're winners. They win, and they've won so many extra inning games and so many close games. They seem like they can find a way to win those one-run games almost always. So I think that speaks a lot about our kids. But to see them come out and win the Sun Belt Conference tournament after everything they've been through this year would just further testify to how good a bunch of kids they are in our dugout.
In your mind, what's at stake this weekend? Like what? I know you want to win a title, but in terms of the big picture and the next level, what's at stake this week?
Well, in my mind, I always think NCAA. I guess coming from the background of the SEC tournament, I never really worried about winning the SEC tournament. I always was looking ahead to the NCAA. And I still have that mindset personally. I know it'd be really nice to win the Sun Belt Championship, and we're going to play anytime. If I'm playing, I want to win. I want my team to compete and expect to win. At the same time, the big picture is the NCAA and getting to a regional, and then somehow we've got to scratch and claw and find a way to win that NCAA regional. And what's really at stake for me this weekend is simply holding that RPI. I want that RPI to stay right up there as high as we can possibly get it, because it's going to give us a lower seed in the NCAA regional the following week.
You were speaking about Summer earlier. What was your expectation when you got here for her, and has it transformed from then?
Yeah. Well, when I got here, I didn't know Summer. Obviously, I had looked at the roster and statistics from 2017 before I met Summer and before I met the team, and I noticed, I think it was 20 innings and 23 strikeouts, if I remember right. And I remember thinking, that kid struck out more than one an inning. That must be pretty good. But you never know who those 20 innings were against. Usually when you see a pitcher with low innings, they're usually against the weaker teams on the schedule and not the bigger teams. So I noticed that number, and it still sticks out in my mind. But never, ever did I dream that I would have a kid on my roster in that situation that would turn out to be one of the top pitchers in the country. And in my mind, Summer's absolutely one of the top pitchers in the country in college fast pitch softball right now.
Anything else? So in terms of, like you said, from your SEC experience, you said you didn't really go into saying you had to win it. Do you feel like that's different here? Do you feel like if you guys somehow lose, you'd still get a bid?
Well, for me, what's at stake this week, we got, right now our RPI this morning is 21. Somehow the girls have been able to hold on to that RPI, keeping it right there in the low 20s, which means you can expect to play somewhere around an 8 to a 12, 8 to 13 seed in the NCAA regional, which is huge. If you're 30 RPI, you can expect to get number 1, 2, or 3 in the regional. And there's a big difference between, the top 3 teams in the country and the 9 through 12 teams in the country. And so we have to figure out a way to get into that final game. I think if you get to the championship game, your RPI is still going to be right there in that 20 to 22 spot. But, you know, we don't need to lose early. It's very important that we get into that championship game. And so we're going to go out with Summer. We're going to come out. Game one's going to be Summer on the mound, and we're going to be playing to win and go inning by inning as far as we can go with Summer.